I visited one of the biggest bookstores in Bangalore called the Blossoms Book House. If you have seen my channel already, I've posted a separate video where I've done an entire tour of Blossoms Book House, but in this video you're just gonna come book shopping with me and then I'm gonna show you the haul of my books. Hi everyone, I'm Ashna Balasubramaniam and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, you're going to come book shopping with me and then we're going to buy lots of books, and finally I'm going to show you all the books that I have got. And let me tell you, I'm pretty excited about it. So let's start off with the video. I hope you enjoyed book shopping with me. So now let me show you what all books I've got so far. So let's start off with the thrillers, because currently I'm in a thriller reading frenzy and I just started off by reading The Maid recently. So let's start off with the first thriller that I got. Okay, the first book that I got is called The Woman Who Lied by Claire Douglas. So this is the story about a crime thriller writer called Emilia Ward. Emilia Ward is currently writing a thriller novel, and one day she happens to see that something that she had written in a novel comes on television as a news flash. It's a murder. So she just brushes it off thinking that it's a coincidence. But unfortunately, again, whatever she writes in her books happens in real life, and this time it happens to someone in her own family. So how long does she have until it starts affecting her and her very close family members? So this is what this story is about, and I can't tell you how excited I am to read this. So this is the first thriller I got. Now let's move on to the next thriller. Before I move on to the next thriller, let me tell you that I got this for a price of just 400 rupees at Blossoms. So it was on a discount and I got this at just 400 rupees. So the next one is called I See You, and this one I got for just 250 rupees. The synopsis of this book goes like this. There is a girl called Zoe Walker. She sees her photo on the newspaper along with a website and contact name. So she shows it to her family members and they say it's just someone who probably looks like Zoe, and it's probably not Zoe at all. But then the next day she notices that each day there is some or the other girl who's coming there on the papers along with a website and a contact number. So is this merely a coincidence, or is there something running behind this whole thing? Is there something sinister in this whole thing? So let's find out when I start reading this book called I See You by Claire. Yes, this is by Claire. So this is the second book from my book haul. Now let's move on to the third book. This is a book that I've been really excited to read because somehow the synopsis of this book was so intriguing. As soon as I read it in Blossoms, I kind of started laughing, though this is a thriller, and I just wanted to get it immediately. So this book is called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I don't know why the title itself is very funny, and when I read the synopsis of this, I'll read it out to you just so that you don't lose out on the humor of it. It says, I knew our family reunion wouldn't end well, but I didn't expect murder. Maybe I should have known better. After all, everyone in my family is a killer. My parents, my siblings, my in-laws, and even me. We're not all psychopaths, says a murderer. Some of us are sure, but others are just unlucky. Accidents happen. So when a body is found in the snow, it is clear it's the work of a Cunningham. But which one and why? And she gives you a disclaimer there. I'll give you one clue. It wasn't me. But a piece of advice, never trust a Cunningham. So this is what this book is about. Somehow it felt funny, and true to that, they've also mentioned that it is a crime thriller along with a hint of humor to it. So this is probably the first crime thriller that I'm going to start once I'm done with my current TBR. So hopefully I'll finish it before the end of April, and please check out my channel because I will be posting all my thriller reads by this month end or by the next month end at least. So now let's move on to the next set of books. So with this we are done with all the crime thrillers that I have got. Now, some of my childhood favorites were Nancy Drew, Goosebumps, Enid Blyton Stories, Secret 7, Mallory Towers and all of that, right? So I found this book for a steal deal of just ₹80. It's the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys Super Mystery. A combination of Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys is always going to be awesome. So I went ahead and got this. Another one that I got, so I read Goosebumps one day in Horrorland long back as a kid. So this is another thing from Horrorland, but it's called My Friends Call Me a Monster. So again, it's Goosebumps by R.L. Stine. So this one I got it for just a price of ₹100. And then the third book is a Nancy Drew book again. This is completely just a Nancy Drew detective story, and this I got for a price of ₹80. So these are some of my childhood favorites. As you all know, and as I've mentioned before, I'm trying to build a small library in my room, and these are going to my collection. I'm trying to collect all my childhood favorites into it, and shortly I'll give you a bookshelf tour, probably very soon, maybe by next week itself. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. The next book is called Tuesdays with Morrie. I'm sure you've all heard of this book. This is a very popular book. This is about Mitch Albom reuniting with his professor called Mr. Morrie. And this is after 20 years when he was first taught. After that, 20 years later, he meets the professor. But then the professor is actually towards the end of his life, and he learns some of the valuable lessons from his professor. So in this, he also gets to reconnect with the professor, and he gets to learn a lot about life and other things. Some of his unanswered questions get answered in this particular meeting. So this is called Tuesdays with Morrie, and I'm pretty excited to have this on my shelf. Though I've read it, I'm collecting some of my favorite books nowadays. Okay, the next one is my favorite of the lot, and if you all have already been following me for a while, you know that I'm a crazy cat person. I have 2 cats of my own, and I'm basically an animal lover. I love all animals. I don't discriminate between them, but somehow I have this obsession for cats. Any animal I see, I become very happy, okay? But then these cats are just so adorable. So as soon as I saw this book, the cover was very, very cute. I had to go and get this book immediately. This is called The Goodbye Cat. This is written by the same person who wrote The Traveling Cat Chronicles, which is also on my TBR. So the person who wrote this is Hiro Arikawa.
7 cats weave their way through their owners' lives, climbing, comforting, nuzzling, and sometimes just tripping everyone up. Against the backdrop of changing seasons in Japan, we meet Spin, a kitten rescued from the recycling bin, whose simple needs teach an anxious father how to care for his own baby. A colony of wild cats on a holiday island shows a young boy not to stand in nature's way. A family is perplexed by their cat's devotion to their uncaring father. Bursting with empathy and love, The Goodbye Cat is a joyous celebration of the wondrousness of cats and why we cannot resist sharing our lives with them.
So this book is all about that, and I can't wait to read this. So, and the cover is also very pretty, of course, because it has a cat on it. So yes, this is the next part of my book haul. Okay, so the next book is called Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. This was written by Gail Honeyman. I have actually heard so much about this book, but I never got a chance to read it. So now finally, when I got this book in Blossoms, I just had to pick it, and I am going to read it. And what's more, it was also recommended by Reese Witherspoon's book club. So Eleanor Oliphant leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor is happy, nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except sometimes everything. This is also a tale about loneliness. Sorry if my voice is choking. But recently I read this book called The Maid, and in The Maid, the character is very similar to that. And Maid is a thriller. Parts of it kind of made me cry, and I mean, the character is just so simple. Sometimes they can't even help themselves. Sometimes they don't realize that they are in a particular situation. Please excuse me. Sometimes they don't even realize that they are in a particular situation that is sometimes life threatening, but then they just cannot move out of their head sometimes because they are not able to read bodily cues, and it's very hard for people like that. And somehow it made me feel very sorry for her. And I'm sure that this is also a book that I will love, and I also understood that I shouldn't be feeling sorry for such a person. It's just that I should learn to celebrate the uniqueness of such a person. So that book taught me that. So I'm sure this book will also teach me something to take away, and I'm pretty glad that I picked this book. So now we're done with the Blossoms book haul. I hope you enjoyed my book haul, but before we conclude with the video, let me show you 3 more books that I got from Amazon recently. So I saw this particular book in Blossoms, and I wanted to get it for myself, and somehow I just left it there. So I came back home and I ordered it from Amazon. It is called The Lost Bookshop. You can actually see how pretty the cover is, and the story is about 4 characters.
These 4 characters are like side characters in their own lives, and this vanishing bookshop actually makes them understand that their lives are just as extraordinary as the characters that they see in their books.
And I just can't wait to read it. It is written by Evie Woods. So yes, this is from my Amazon book haul. The next one, this one I had seen in Sapna Book House long back. It is called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. So this is how it looks like, and somehow I never bought it at that point, but I just went ahead and bought it this time on Amazon because I didn't want to miss out on that. So Bonnie Ware is the person who wrote this book. She actually interviews 5 people, like she interviews a couple of people who are close to their final phase in life, and after that she writes about what they regret, what regrets they carried throughout their life, and how they're actually thinking about it right now. They are looking back and reflecting on their life. So this was initially a blog post, and those blog posts went viral, and she has collated all of that and made it into a book. It's also an international bestseller, and I can't wait to read these. I love to read such books wherein it brings a lot of meaning to life. Things like The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, Tuesdays with Maury, The Goodbye Cat. I really like to understand how our lives are intertwined with others, how love and compassion can affect each other, how our everyday moods, I'm not talking only about the positive moods, we all are humans at the end of the day, we also have negative moods as well. So I really like to understand how all these moods come in together and how we can actually better our relationships with each other and nature as a whole. So that is why I pick such books, and I hope you enjoyed my book haul. As we move on to the final book, it's called The Greatest Self-Help Book Ever Written is the One Written by You. It is by Vex King and his wife Kaushal. So it's a plain cover, it's a paperback book. I didn't want to go for a hardcover because I felt that a hardcover is pretty expensive. So I went ahead with this paperback. It has some really good journaling questions, some coloring activities, and to understand yourself a little better. So I picked up this book, but I can promise you one thing, I'll be making an entirely separate video dedicated only for this particular book to show you all the journaling questions that are there, and if you can actually buy this for yourself, because when I went through this book I really felt that it is very well thought out. So with that, we are done with the book haul. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean a lot to me if you did. So thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay blessed, and stay kind. And please make sure you're subscribed to my channel to watch my to watch my bookshelf tour next week. I don't know, it just kind of became a tongue twister there. Okay, thank you so much for watching now. Bye.